welcome back to another fantastic episode of Runs People Podcast. This one is going to be a really great and informative episode. We are looking forward to another great round of festival seasons coming through to us this year of 2023. Thank goodness that the COVID pandemic hasn't rocked us this hard this just yet, I guess, with these new strains and everything. But we do have, starting off this new festival season, the return of one of the best, one of my first experiences even actually in the local scene, kind of experiencing music and local music especially. We are sitting down with Savannah Sewell, co-founder of Winter Spectacular, to talk about the incredible return of this festival. Welcome back, Savannah. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah. Thanks for making the time and inviting us, or me rather. Yeah. You might see Adam, he might pop his head in, but obviously we're chasing around small humans at this point. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
We just have that way with each other.
That's right. We pass them off at this point. He's but yeah, so anyways, yes, thank you. It's nice to be here chatting with you two. Sibling power.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for.
You try. So let's get right into it with Winter Spectacular. It's a wonderful festival that's been going on for many years, but you took a little bit of break from it after 2017. But going back to the beginning, why did you decide to start Winter Spectacular in the first place?
Great question. Well, we at that point we were a few years into Grickle Grass, which was our big annual event at the Children's Museum, and booking that was a lot of fun. And part of sort of the conversation that I think consistently comes up in London is there's so many people that have have some sort of connection to London. So maybe somebody lived here for a moment. Maybe they went to Pearson School for the Arts. Maybe they lived here. Then they went and moved away to go to university, or came here for university, or whatever, came for a job. Whatever the case may be, we consistently were finding that it was always the 6 degrees of London, and I feel like excuse me, a lot of people might feel this way, not just even in the music and art community, but we were finding that we were having these sort of almost waves of really amazing creative people in the city. And so maybe there was a way to kind of showcase in a very sort of concise way, and bring people to town to play shows who wouldn't normally get a chance to play. So as an example, Doom Squad, who is no longer a band, they have new projects on the go, but that's another sibling crew, and they all grew up in London, but never played shows here. And we had become friends with them through the years, and we're like, oh my gosh, what? Okay, we gotta figure out a way to make space for you guys to play. So it just sort of sparked with a conversation. And then Christmas time was when we traditionally threw Winter Spectacular, and it seemed to really work out because that's when people were coming home for the holidays, or coming to visit. People's schedules were sort of opening up with enough advance notice. So it was sort of let's try to throw something around the holidays, get people excited. And not everybody wants to celebrate Christmas and the holidays in a sort of traditional way too. So we found that all of those things, all of those combinations, really helped us, tell story through the different programming that we got to do. So yeah, it was how do we do something fun in the winter and bring some new folks to town that wouldn't normally come, and be maybe a bit more weird with it too, a bit more obscure and a bit more DIY, because we got to use a lot of different space. So that was the other thing about Winter Spectacular, was that it was multiple day, multiple space, and Grickle was sort of our flagship at the Children's Museum. So yeah, that's that, I think.
And so you kind of decided to take a break from running it in about 2017. Why was that? Why did you say, okay, I'm going to take a little step back from this one?
Well, we had baby number one in 2017. And
Mhm.
so for those who were at the last Winter Spectacular, you'll remember me having a baby strapped to myself with green headphones. So Oda was born in October, and then we threw that festival in December. Uh, so that was certainly part of it. It wasn't all of it, but it was definitely life was changing. Um, and we just felt like maybe a bit of a shift in the scene. I mean, I think that's part of the other thing about London that I'm sure we can all agree on is that it is a very transient place, which
Mhm.
I was just speaking its praises, but it also has its setbacks, right? Because you get people for just a minute and then they're gone. So we just felt a shift, and that's also okay. It's also very healthy for that to happen in our communities. And we just felt like, you know what? Let's just take a breather. Um, so yeah, 2017, and then we ended up we did Grickle until 2019. So yeah, we knew we were going to continue to do Grickle for, we wanted to get to 10 years for that. So we thought, you know what, this is a lot. Let's just yeah, let's just shift a little bit. And uh Rock Camp started up in 2015. So there was just a lot of like projects that we wanted to keep sort of moving and shifting. And um yeah, although it was fun to have Oda with me, it was just and it was a good experience, and everyone was like really respectful, and it was great. It just felt like, you know what, let's just take a bit of a break. And so here we are,
Yeah,
a
gotta
couple
have-
of years later with a new baby strapped to me.
go right back into it. And what made you decide that this year you're like, okay, we're going to bring it back 2023 with everything going on even?
I know it seems ridiculous. Well, we wrote a grant. Okay, so it's 2023 now. We wrote a grant in 2022 through FedDev, through the Southwestern Ontario Tourism, and received the grant. And as sometimes with grants and deadlines, you have a short window of when you have to execute programming. So it was, we were sort of, we got to adhere to a time restraint. And so this is the time that we landed on. And 2022 also was kind of wild for us, and lots of people, we're not the only people that were busy, lots of people were. And we just felt like, you know what, trying to squeeze it into that traditional Christmas block of time that we would have normally done it just felt almost too rushed. And we thought, you know what, there's a lot going on. And even since, I mean, I would say that even in the last couple of years, there's a lot more like holiday and Christmas programming happening in London. I'm sure
Yeah.
you two might be able to attest to that because you're doing your weekly, listings and seeing everything that's going on. So
Yeah.
it just felt like, you know what, maybe we don't need to jump into that. Let's try to think about Family Day weekend. Obviously, we want to make some of our programming family, inclusive. So, um, let's push to that weekend. So it kind of just lined up, and we picked the weekend. And so it's a combination of Grickle meets Winter Spectacular, all at the same time, which feels really good. And at the end of the day, fits really well for us. It's kind of funny. At, we looked at so many spaces. Um, and in the end, it was just like, you know what? The Children's Museum. We know it.
Mhm.
We love it. It feels comfy. Um, let's just go back there. And so that was a nice thing that we were able to do. And those relationships are obviously still really important and there for us. So yeah, that's how we ended up on the date in February. And of course, you know, the whole time I knew there was going to be a baby. Like I've been pregnant. So we knew at some point small human would be joining the team, but it happened. It actually happened later than we were expecting. We thought maybe, oh, it's our second baby. We'll have this baby, you know, Christmas time. But he arrived on January 14th. So we're just rolling with it. And we have, you know, that's the, as you can hear, we have a great community though. And that's the best thing, excuse me, about it is that everyone is understanding. We've been working in children's programming and like community-based programming for so long that we've seen lots of kids grow up in the scene and it's been amazing. And so everyone is like, here, we'll hold the baby, we'll drop off a meal, we'll help it, you know, like it's just, it feels good. And it's a nice reminder, especially after all of this darkness that we've all been experiencing of not doing any events, of not seeing each other. I mean, you know, things are shifting. Certainly, we're not like freshly back in event land, but it does feel like a nice little boost to community is something we could all really use right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was gonna say, it almost seems like your babies know the festival's coming up. I want to be there. I want to show up. I'm coming.
Exactly. I'm ready.
Feel
Strap me
it
on.
coming.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
It's also nice to have another festival at the Children's Museum before they move locations. Keep that kind of Greco grass feel.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the nostalgia of that space, and now there's like a festival that has nostalgia there too, because we did it for 10 years. And, you know, Grickle ended in 2019. And again, that was on our own terms. And we were so elated to get to 10 years. And again, we wrapped up that project on our own accord and reached a goal that we honestly never thought we would get to. And so yeah, it wasn't like we, you know, were told we could never do it again. We left all those partnerships in a beautiful way. So we were really excited to be able to pick them back up this time around. So it's so far the response has been really lovely from people. They're like, oh my gosh, okay, we get to go back. And we're like, yes. And yeah, who knows for the Children's Museum too, like it's getting closer and closer for them because obviously their whole world has been on pause too, right? With like the new space. So we're just happy to get back in there.
Speaking of Greco grass, you know, having it ended recently as well, did you feel kind of like an obligation or like a responsibility when bringing this festival back? Like, I know the talk is kind of like, well, we have a, you know, we got a grant for it and everything, but like before that, was there kind of a feeling of like, well, like we need to bring this back. Like we are the scene bearers, you know, or whatever the term would be, where we're like, we have built up something for 10 years, you know, and we're like, you know, we feel like in the time that we've been away, something has been missing and we feel the responsibility to bring it back and represent like the local scene in a way. Am I dancing around it too much, or is that kind of like right around that area a little bit?
Well, I'd say that Adam was really wanting to bring it back more so than me, maybe. And we'd certainly had that conversation for a couple of years. But again, you know, we felt, especially with what ended up happening in 2020, we were kind of all like, wow, aren't we felt really good that we got to end Grickle that chapter, like I said, on our own terms, because I also work in the sector, like when I'm not, doing shows in London, doing shows all over, and have, friends that work in the industry. And we just watched so many of our friends who work in the sector totally, it was horrible to watch, and watch all these festivals, and especially the mid-sized festivals, have to pivot, disband, like all the shit that everyone went through was horrible to watch. And we were just really feeling grateful that we didn't have to do that. And so when things started to kind of simmer about reopening and potential, everyone, not everyone, but there was, a few grant streams where it was like, okay, post COVID, not that that term makes any sense, but you know what I mean. Actually, I heard somebody call it the forever flu.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah. Anyways, not to digress, but yeah. So it just felt right. It just felt right. Like again, the stars were kind of aligning, not to be too hippy dippy about it, but yeah. I mean, feel responsibility for sure to a certain extent. Yes. I mean, I feel like again part of a healthy scene is new and more, and making space for other people to do stuff, and I've been really happy to see so much great stuff happening in the last couple of years too. And um, when you receive a grant and you can inject funds into the community, that feels really good too, because we were so used to doing these projects with no budget, and so to have some extra is great, because we're like, okay, we can now let's pay for this, let's get this art installation, let's pay people in the community that are already doing great work as well. So that felt really good. So yeah, it's been good timing for sure. What will come next? Who knows? Because I think there's lots of potential for other things to grow and evolve too. And, I'd say at this point, we've kind of, I feel like an old lady because we've just been around for so long. But the projects are all kind of they all complement one each other, and that's intentional because, we really care about the community at the end of the day. And so it's exciting to think about what also can evolve from this project. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess. But it's been re-inspiring because I needed it. Beyond having kids in the mix, sometimes we get uninspired. And I'll be the first to admit that, I don't always, and I certainly was hitting that's my squeaky chair, by the way. It also could be a baby fart, but it's actually just a squeaky chair. But yeah, I was definitely needing to be re-inspired. And I feel like this has been a really great moment to do that. So I'm happy to be back on the horse, as they say.
Amazing. Well, it's good to have you back. I'll be the first to inform you here, if you haven't been told yet. Speaking of this year's, if we're gonna get into this year's festival specifically, it's happening from February 17th to 19th. It's a 3-day festival. I kind of want to go over some of the what's happening every day, if you don't mind. Friday, we've got a dinner and a show. What does that entail there, Seth?
Oh, did my video go? Oh, you're good.
Okay.
Dinner and a show. Yes. So I'll back up by saying major partner on this project is Growing Chefs Ontario. Again, those who are familiar with our programming know that the Children's Museum and Growing Chefs have always been huge partners of ours. So again, we were talking about space and programming. We knew that we wanted to showcase Growing Chefs in a way that we haven't in the past either. And since we sorry, can you hear the thudding?
Yeah.
Oda is obsessed with Queen, so that's We Will Rock You. He just constantly goes is stomping the We Will Rock You beat. So that's what's happening also.
So he might become a drummer, is what you're saying.
The boy has something coming up his sleeves. He's definitely our performer, that's for sure.
Bound for greatness.
Sorry, it's so loud over here. Growing chefs, let's showcase them in a new way too. So since we wrapped up Gricklegrass, they've also got an amazing second location. So they have 2 locations. They have their space on King Street, and then they have their space at the Western Fair at the Grove. And it's more of a workshop and classroom space, but it does have an event space. I would call it an event space, like a bigger sort of area to do stuff. And they also, again, speaking of pandemic, I'm certainly not going to speak on behalf of the organization. I'm just going to be their biggest cheerleader. But they did an amazing job during the pandemic of switching a lot of their programming online. And so in their kitchen, I don't know if you've had this experience or know anybody that's participated, but they've got their kitchen at the Grove like set up. It's like you're on a cooking show. It's amazing. Like, they have the cameras on top for like the different angles, and like they just did such an amazing job switching that programming over when we couldn't be together. And that space at the Western Fair is so cool. So we just thought, let's program this space. How can we integrate this into our programming? So on the Friday night, we're going to do dinner and a show there, and we're going to have a family style meal served. We're just finalizing the menu details, so details will be coming shortly on that. And then, we're going to serve a beautiful meal, and we're going to have some performances. We're going to put a stage in there. We're going to have some performances. And I guess I can share all that information because it's going to come out imminently. But Scott Bernil is going to play, Willow Switch is going to play, and then we're doing something a bit like funny and cheeky. We're going to do like, we're kind of calling it the first and maybe last It's Not You, It's London Awards.
The soft flirt line.
Yeah, exactly. We're just like, we want to have a bit of fun. Like, we're playing with nostalgia. We're playing with like poking fun at ourselves because we have to make light at some of this stuff, like, again, it's easy to get caught up in the negativity. And I think poking fun at ourselves is a little bit fun to do sometimes. So we're going to do a dinner and a show on Friday night there in the Growing Chef space. And we're really excited to go in there and work with them. And like, their chefs are amazing. The menu's going to be delicious. And just sort of get to focus on regionality in our food and our food practices and highlight that organization. And then also like regionality in our entertainment. And again, just hoping that it sparks conversation. Even the intentionality of a family style meal is kind of cool. So that's a big thing that Growing Chefs always focuses on any of their dinners. So you might go into that dinner sitting beside somebody that you don't know, but you're sharing, you're passing food around and you're, sharing conversation, and that's all very intentional, and it just really fits with the whole thing. So those are the reasons why we love working with them, because it's just it's on the same level,
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know, we do have an episode with Growing Chefs, episode 42. So if you don't know anything about them, check that out. Learn more about Growing Chefs.
And then, not to outdo what already sounds like an amazing night, but then Saturday night, which is the night I'm sure most people are going to be attending, you've got the music night specifically at the Children's Museum, which is going to feature. Do you want to list them, or do you want me to? Because it's quite the list here.
Do you have it right in front of you there?
Yeah, I got it here.
You go for it. I'm in. I know them all, but I'm also on baby break. I don't want to forget anybody.
No worries. I'm not going to name everybody here, but we've got, we have time. Why not? We got Metz as the big name here, which is a super awesome get. Cadence Weapon, Ombigazi, Flex, Bonnie Trash, Thunder Queens, She Bad, Strawberry Cough, Eleanor and Severia, Lindsay and the Lonelies, Susan's, Suleiman, Propulse, Drives the Common Man, and then there's also Art and Projections, which is going to be really sweet as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that evening and what's going on?
Yeah, so we're back at the Children's Museum, and we just thought, let's just go gangbusters here. And yeah, we've always described ourselves as like outsider art. And like I was saying, through our programming over the past, decade plus, has always been trying to bring people to town that wouldn't normally come to town and pair them with local and regional acts. And hopefully, people stumble across their new favorite band, or a band that totally, blows their mind, that they've never seen before, that never would have come to town before. That's something that we've always really felt good about and taken pride in. And so, yeah, I mean, Mets, hello. Just like Adam says, let's try to book Mets. And I'm like, what? I don't know. I just was not in the headspace to thinking that was on the table. And then it is. And then it happened. And we were kind of like, what? They said, yeah, okay, let's go. And then Cadence Weapon, Polaris Prize winner, like amazing human, who also just wrote a book as well. And he's doing really cool stuff. And he just moved to Hamilton recently, but yeah, I mean, Cadence is awesome. And it's just nice to bring some of these folks into the play. What else can I say? We love the nooks and crannies of the Children's Museum. We love programming all of those spaces. And so, yeah, we're just, again, like finalizing where everyone's going to play. The other fun thing is that we're able to bring in some projection artists to sort of help elevate those stages. So Anthony Piazza is coming in from Quebec. He's also in a band called Atsuko Chiba.
Cool.
If anybody has heard of them, it was also a very cool band. So Anthony's coming in, and that's going to be fun. And he's super talented. And then Sebastian, local legend, back. I basically messaged him and was like, hey, you want to go back in the caves with some 16 millimeter film, bud? Because we can make it happen. And it was like a yes immediately. Like at one point, Adam was like, let's try to do something. I was like, nope. Sebastian is going to want to go right back into the caves. It's a sweet thing. Let's not mess with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're excited to have Sebastian back doing that. And then Tanya DuPont Martinez and Rima Sater are going to do a collaborative installation in one of the nooks and crannies at the museum. And it's going to be a combination of flowers and a little bit of a, recreation of an indoor like park space. It's going to be really cool. So they're working on that. And then, yeah, that's going to be great. And then we were also able to like bring in a great production company. So Lab Solutions is coming in, and they're going to be able to help with lights and production, which is also really nice to be able to do. Because again, in the past, it was us like lugging everything. So it's just nice to be able to have a little bit more support to get some of this stuff done. And just kind of elevate the production, which is like really exciting for us, so that you can support a band like Mets to come in and make sure that they have like a ripping good time. And at the end of the day too, when people have families, musicians and artists, like everyone's growing up too, and so it's just really fun for us to bring people into the museum, like people who aren't from London. The locals love it, because they've hopefully had some sort of experience with the museum over their life. But for the folks that come from out of town, it's always great too, because they're like, wait, what? This is ridiculous. Like, I'm playing under this whale? Okay, cool. So that's always a fun part of programming that space too. So yeah. And
Super cool.
I just friggin' love the Children's Museum. It was the first children's museum in Canada.
It's
And
awesome.
Carol Johnson's amazing. She passed away the last few years, but they're just such an amazing organization too. And now that I like actually get to take my kids there, like not when it's a festival, is fun too. And yeah, so it's just a really important space in our community, and so we're excited to be back there.
Oh,
Small, tiny
Hello.
newborn cry.
They're also excited about the Children's Museum, I can tell.
great.
I'm gonna say another plug if you want to learn more about the Children's Museum, episode 58 of Lund's Pretty Cool. Learn more about Lund Children's Museum.
Yeah, they're actually a museum, which is like something that a lot of people might not realize. They're not just like a fun space for the
activities.
kids, and everything. Like they're actually a museum, and they hold some really cool stuff.
Their archives are amazing.
Mhm.
Unreal.
I know. I love it.
Well, that night sounds amazing. But that doesn't end there. Like the festival isn't even over there. We even have Sunday beyond that, which is Punk Rock Flea Market, teaming up to make a really great vendor market. Whereabouts is that happening? Is that still at the Children's Museum?
No, so we're actually headed back over to the Growing Chef space at the Grove
Gotcha.
on Sunday for that. So we're basically bopping between the two spaces. And again, because the folks at Rebel, also like love Growing Chefs and are now able to have access to their kitchen and do what they do, their magic. That was a great fit. Like, hey, look, you can have this full kitchen and also, set up all the vendors. So the space where the dinner is gonna be programmed with different activities. And then there's actually a really large hallway. Excuse me, you'll see it.
Mhm.
But there's a large hallway, and that's where all the vendors are going to go. So we're basically utilizing two spaces inside the Grove that weekend. And we're really excited about that. And then obviously, when we were talking about this programming and doing 3 days, the one thing we always did with Winter Spectacular was on the Sunday, we always did some sort of pancake breakfast, and we used to do it right in this room a few times where we like threw the video game projector up and played like Super Nintendo and just played vinyl records in our living room basically and had people over for pancakes. Oh my gosh, buddy boy. What's up? So that was a thing. So we just said let's do that, but let's not do it in our living room. So so we wanted to do that, and so taking advantage of that really amazing space, and so we'll be able to do food and coffee, and what works so well about that Sunday is that it's an opportunity to like hang. We just want people to chill, reflect, talk about the weekend, talk about the sets you saw, talk about the people you bumped into, support some great vendors, and we've got other additional programming happening at the Punk Rock Flea space. So we've got a photo booth, and there'll be some takeaway kits for families to take. And sorry, we're just on the verge of falling asleep here.
No worries.
And,
So cute.
I know, so tiny, right?
I know.
Forget
how small they are.
No. So there's a photo booth. We're gonna do bring in some like retro game stations, pinball machine.
Nice.
Odyssey Records is gonna spin some vinyl. They're gonna keep the tunes rolling all that day, play some vintage cartoons. So yeah, like we want people to come and hang out in the living room. And Stomp Box is gonna be doing like a zine station, so you can stop and do some zines and just grab a coffee and hang out. Like I really just want it to feel like our living room, but not. And people just feel welcome to hang out and take off your coat and stay a while.
Sounds like such perfect weekend, are you personally looking forward to the most?
Oh, geez. Um, Honestly, I'm looking forward to all of it. Like it's like I said, it's kind of been a long time coming, and I'm re-inspired and invigorated, and I'm excited to like bop around. I guess we'll see how, I might not be there at 2 a.m. mopping the floor like I used to. But I don't know. I'm excited to just bump into community and just see people again and just see the excitement on other people's faces, because that's why we do it. And um, still to this day, some of my fondest experiences in this town are when I bump into people that I don't know, or strangers, and they tell us that they went to Brickell not knowing that we had anything to do with it, and they had a great time. And um, you just want to help create those experiences for people again and again. Now that since we've done it, there's like a new wave, there's like this whole other generation of people too, and so that's exciting. Like, again, as the old people in the room, we're always like, okay, where are the kids at? What are they up to? What's hip? Who's doing what? How do we work with and collaborate with and just make more space? So I'm just excited to see people and yeah, take a snippet of each day, really. The one difference is that we used to always program daytime activities at the Children's Museum on Grickle, which we're not doing for this. So again, just realizing our capacities makes for a long day. So we're just doing the evening stuff at the Children's Museum this year. But yeah, I don't know. That's not really answering your question. I was really being loopy around it, but yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see it all come together. Really.
Excited for it to be back.
Yay. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, what kind of impact do you feel like this festival has on London and the London music and art scene? Like bringing all of this together, you feel like it's impacting it in a positive way, and in which way?
I'd like to think so. I mean, you know, when you've been doing community work for so long, it's always really nice and validating to be able to, bridge those connections and, hire people to do their work and pay people what they're worth to do that work. So that's really important for sure. So um, I'd like to think that it's a positive impact beyond it just being like financially feasible. I think that's one part of the puzzle here. But, I think it's important for any community, especially mid-sized cities, especially in this weird ass country, to have weirdo outsider art scenes. And it's okay. It doesn't have to be mainstream radio. It doesn't have to be that way. uh, there's space for the underground, there's space for the freaks. And I will say rock camp is always a reminder of that this next generation, they need to feel safe and supported, and they need to be able to feel the opportunity to be themselves. And that spreads on beyond camp. I just use it as the example because it's been such a nice reminder in my life since 2015 that the kids the kids are coming, and um, they always need space. And I just feel like any opportunity to continue to work on that is important, not just for myself or the people working on that, but for all of us. Because when the scene is healthy, it's great for touring bands, and vice versa, right? When touring bands come in and there's a scene, it's like, oh, it's important for bands to be able to come into town and say, oh my gosh, like I played this random show, and now the next time I come through, I've had like a peek into this whole other scene I didn't know about. Especially in this, again, we're in this like bizarre time of venues slash non-venues slash you know um yeah, so I think people are open to it. So I don't know. I hope it's positive. I like when we can bring lots of different people together in lots of different places and ways. And I hope the programming is robust and feels that way. Um, because it was really important to us to try to do that. And but again, like it does weave together, if you're into food and if you're into local, like supporting local business, chances are you like local music. And so the hope is that maybe you'll go to everything in the weekend, maybe you won't, and that's okay too. you know Punk Rock Flea is, $2, pay what you can by donation, and the other events are ticketed. So like we also want to make sure that, people want to go, they can. If they can't, there's room and opportunity for that too. So yeah, I'm feeling really nostalgic and
Mhm.
old, but also feeling hopeful and good about the future, um, and hope
Spe-
that other people feel like they can do stuff too.
Speaking on that, how do you feel like this festival has impacted you over the years?
Impacted me?
Yeah, on a personal level.
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, it's certainly given me a lot of insight into the community and the scene. It's also given me a lot of experience, like work wise. I've been working in London, but also like around as well. And all of the festivals, all of the shows I've ever worked, it all comes back to the DIY shows of when I actually had to do everything at the shows. And then I go and work a big festival and you just have one job, like artist check-in or hospitality or back, you just have like one job on a large festival, whereas in the DIY scene, you do everything, and all of that matters when it comes to my own like work ethic and work experience. So it's had a massive impact on me in that way. And then also I've had the chance to watch amazing people do amazing things. I'm forever in awe of the creative scene. um, so many amazingly talented people here. We certainly don't always do the best job of supporting and telling everyone about how good we are. That's why it's not you, it's London is such a poignant statement that like I feel it deep inside my soul. Um, and I think a lot of mid-sized cities in Canada probably have some identity crisis on their hands. Um, Maybe that Alexis on Fire album is making more and more sense these days.
Mhm.
Crisis album. I'm just thinking about some of those lyrics. But anyways, sorry. Um, yeah. So I just, you know, b- building community, working in community, throwing shows, whatever. It's not always easy, and it's not for everybody, and that's totally fine. Um, But for the handful of people that do want to do that work in our community, I think it is nice to see some of these, yeah, like smaller DIY things happening, because it's just a reminder that like there's actually a whole part of the industry that this is a job, and so yeah, I think it's been I don't know. I've been in London for 17 years, and it feels weird to even say that out loud, but I like my identity as a person is very much connected to the work that I've done. And maybe
Mhm.
that's not always healthy, but as I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, maybe that's bad, but maybe that's good.
I think the work in this instance is, it's had an impact on a lot of other people in a positive manner. So I think that's different. It's like community work is different than work. You know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah.
you're, up in an office for missing out on your family or anything. You know what I mean? It's different.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. Obviously, I'm still questioning my existence, but that's fine. That's not for today. We'll dig into that one offline.
Later episode. Yeah, future.
Yeah,
Let's
do that one over.
get in deep with Sav.
Oh,
What about like you may have mentioned it earlier, but what has been your favorite memory from Winter Spectacular throughout the years?
geez. I'm just looking around. I have pictures and posters, and yeah, I'd say that's my favorite memory. Hard to say. Um, you know, long live Vibrofusion Labs.
Mm,
Let's just give it some time here. I
I
just
agree.
talk about David and Leslie. But David Bobier has been such an incredible human being. He is such an incredible human being and was always so kind and open again to like us younger folks coming up and letting us use that amazing space while he's doing amazing work in the disability arts space, like just killing it all the time. Like as we speak, like him and his wife are on the other side of the world doing an artist residency. They're just always doing such amazing work, and we've always admired them. And Vibrofusion was such a great hub. It was the perfect space. It was weird and also had like strange nostalgic ties. So people would come in and be like, I remember when. But also, it just worked for the events. It worked for the shows. It was amazing to have that little HQ, and he gave us the key, and that is DIY scene. Like that's the heartbeat of the DIY scene, and we feel forever grateful to him for letting us use that space and sort of like that whole corner, the Novax Vibrofusion space, and those buildings are owned by the same owner as well. So the Kaplan family was always so gracious. So I would say some of those highlights are the behind the scenes stuff, which is making those connections to pull all of this together, right, and building those relationships in the city to get that work off the ground. So I would say that behind the scenes stuff, but that's just me being a logistics nerd and loving that process. So there's that side of it that I love. And then, yeah, highlight on the front end, it was always really nice to see the different art, like asking different artists, like, how do you interpret this? Let's do a gallery show. Let's hire 5 Beale art students and give them like a piece of canvas and just say the theme is London,
Mhm.
and just see what they come up with. And upstairs we still have one of the pieces of canvas hanging up, and it's like other people look at it and they're like, this is so random. I'm like, I know, but it brings me so much joy. Like I just love what this student came up with. So
Mhm.
yeah, and then just like watching people grow through that process, and we've been able to be like first shows for people, which was always really cool too. um yeah, that's not really a specific thing. I'm being very broad strokey, but
It works.
It's all good. Like I referenced earlier, I think Nathan Patrick brought me to the like my first experience with Winter Spectacular was happening up at DNR, above DNR, and I walked in at Lonnie in the Garden performing, and I didn't know any of you guys yet. I didn't know any of those bands, and I was just like, huh, this is really cool. This is really interesting, I this is like like cool, and then like I think the year later we performed there ourselves, me and my band Foam, and then it was just like, so I like Winter Spec for me is a very like my first kind of like, other than seeing a couple random local shows and everything, that was my first kind of like, oh, there's a community here that really like enjoys local music. That's like a thing. Like I hadn't experienced it until I had my first Winter Spec experience. So there's my memory for you.
Oh, I love it. I've heard that, like, I've heard similar stories about that one too. Like, Alex, who used to live in London, who isn't here anymore, she's in Guelph, but yeah, she had said something similar. Like, it was her first, she was a student, and it was like her first experience of the scene. Like, she's just kind of like, whoa, what? What's going on here?
Mhm.
So that's really nice. I love hearing that.
It was very, very cool. It's that kind of moment where you're like, huh, I didn't think that there would be this many people into this kind of stuff like me. This is really interesting, like it is kind of that like, oh, there are others. There are others like me. This is cool, as a young person, especially like feeling like the other a lot of times, but it was very cool.
Well, and that space up there was wicked too. And was the tinsel, was the silver, was all the silver up? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
There's some amazing photos from that year. Yeah.
Mhm. Very cool. Very cool time. Before we get into any of the London-based questions, is there anything else about the festival that you wanted to plug? Like where people can buy tickets? Are we expecting a sellout? Like anything social media, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so please follow us on social media. God, I feel like such an old lady as I like put my baby over my shoulder. Please follow us on the internet. Um, but yes, Instagram is definitely a thing. Our website is winterspectacular.ca. More details to follow there. We're just sort of in the transition of getting all that info up there. Bear with me. Where else? Ticket wise, yes, please buy your ticket. We, especially for Saturday night, I think we are expecting the tickets to go. I feel good about that in the sense that with Grickle, especially the last 3 years, we sold it out, and I
Mhm.
don't want you to miss out. And tickets are $35 in advance. They're going to be 40 at the door, but I hope we don't have to get to the door because there won't be any left. Keep your eyes peeled for, yeah, we're going to be doing some contesting in the next couple of weeks as well. And just come by if you can. We'd love to see you. If you've never been, come. If you want to come and be nostalgic, also come.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I don't know if you have any feedback, send us an email, find our email address, DM us, tell us what's up.
Please do. Feedback is good. Feedback is
Feedback is
always.
good. Feedback is good. Nobody's perfect. Feedback
Mhm.
is good.
Yeah, so be sure, get out there to Winter Spectacular, February 17th to the 19th. Try and go every single day if you can.
Yeah.
So, Sav, we're going to get into some London questions. I know you've been on in the past, but maybe opinions have changed. Maybe you found a new favorite places. Things adapt and change. I think it's been a couple of years.
Yeah.
Life moves on. So, we're going to start with your favorite place to eat in London.
Well, I don't know what I can't remember what I'd said last time, but my definitely there's a tie for two. And now that I'm not pregnant anymore and having wild heartburn, I know that sounds silly to say, but everything tastes better now that I'm on the other side of this. But we love to eat at New Delhi Deli in the market downtown,
Mhm.
Covent Garden Market. Bon is the best. She's the queen of all things delicious. And then we also are obsessed with Bella's Catering inside. Um, shoot, it's inside. Is it Somerville, the fire roasted building on Dundas, Adelaide, like Dundas and Adelaide.
Never heard of
You know
it.
where? Pardon?
Never heard of it.
So it's across from Adam's shop. So like the residence shop is on Dundas Street. It's like
Mhm.
across the street. There's like a
Okay.
food incubator in there. So
Yeah.
there's
Okay.
Willie's Cafe.
Yes.
Got
Yeah.
it.
I feel terrible that I just go there every day. I don't even know what it's called.
Mhm.
But inside there, okay, listen to me. Inside there, there's another magical human being named Bella who works so hard, who makes the most delicious delicious Japanese food. And it's all vegan and gluten-free. And she is just a joy. And her food is made
Wow.
with so much love. And it's amazing. So I could go on, but go see her. Go see her. She's the best.
That's at the food incubator there.
Yeah, she has her own like spot though. She has
Okay,
her own
awesome.
like, yeah, her own counter. It's very amazing.
That does sound amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the fixins.
Well, the next question, you haven't changed neighborhoods since the last time we talked to you, but maybe who knows what's been going on in your own. So maybe things have changed. Favorite neighborhood, as we are the city of neighborhoods here in London.
Well, favorite neighborhood. I mean, everyone wants to think their neighborhood's the best. We sort of live like Old East Village adjacent. We're kind of like, so
Bless you.
thank you. That noise is just so precious. I just want to say the East End in general. I feel so much more comfortable in the East End. When I have to go to other parts of the city, I feel so confused and weird. So I would say that I'm a downtown gal and I'm an East End gal. That's what we do. That's where we hang out. So I also love Queen's Park, which is the park behind the Western Fair Market, where the little splash pad is. We spend a lot of time there in the summer. So yeah, this end of the world feels right to me.
Nice.
I know.
What about a London small business that you couldn't live without?
Well, I just named 2 food businesses that I definitely can't live without. I think most people would probably say that we also can't live without Rebel Remedy. We are very much can't do anything without that kombucha. I don't know. I can't describe it. I need it. Who else? I don't even know. We spend a lot of time at Heroes. Forever will be giving my money to Brom and the cool characters over there at Heroes. So those are 2 that we definitely support a lot.
Nice.
Very cool. If you were to have a perfect day in London, what would it entail? Maybe it's a day at Winter Spec, who knows?
I mean, that sounds like a pretty great place to start, for sure. Love a little vendor market, love a little music, love some vinyl.
Mhm.
When we get the chance, which is most weekends, on a Saturday, we are heading over to Locomotive South. We spend a lot of time over at Locomotive South. Shout out to Will and Kata and the crew over there. Get our coffee fix. We also head over to Red Bull. We try to go for a walk, maybe, depending on the weather. Oda will always try to get us to go to Heroes. um, and, just trying to spend as much time together as a family at this point. These little years aren't going to last forever. So we just try to, whatever it is we're doing it together. Maybe we'll go thrifting, throw everybody in the cart, hit the thrift store. That's a pretty great day for us. Go to the record shop and see Justin over at Odyssey. That's on our list. Oda's building his own record collection these days, so we got to go see Justin a lot.
Very cool.
And the guys in the shop are also so amazing to him, which we're so appreciative of. Yeah. So just hitting up our small businesses, going to see our friends, going to check in. I would say that that's pretty much that's a typical good day for us.
Nice. And although you've now named a lot of fantastic places in London, what do you think would be a hidden gem? And this could be a person, place, or thing in London.
Hidden gem. Um, Jeez. Yeah, I feel like so much of our experience here is about the people and those small business owners and building those relationships with people kind of all over the place. Um, some hidden gems, maybe. For me, I've been doing a lot of work lately on public space in my other life. And so I would say that I have some like public spaces that I feel like are totally underutilized and would love to see them used more often. One is the Rotary Reading Garden at the library downtown, that central library space. I would love, 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 love to see that space more activated. I think there's so much room to do great programming in that space. I love Queen's Park, which is the park that is behind the Western Fair. Same thing. It's got so much potential, so much potential. I just love that park. It's such an important space. Where else? Even the Forks. Sorry, I'm jumping back to the other end. Now that construction is done underneath Museum London, I'm really curious to see how this summer goes with cycling and pedestrians and the park right there and the little like stone wall and all that stuff. So that space is intriguing to me. So I'm excited to see that in action as well.
Nice. Those are some good spots.
And the TVP in general. The Thames Valley Parkway is like the most incredible gem. It needs to be friggin' lit. I know that you guys can't do anything about it. It needs to be lit at night so that people can feel safe and cycle at night and walk at night on the path in the summertime. Get it together, everybody.
Oh, I agree.
It's such an important asset in our community. It's an amazing, amazing path.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel dumb where I'm like, I'll bike somewhere and then I'm like, okay, it's hitting 9. I gotta bike home because it's getting dark and I'm going on the pathway and I don't want to go when it's fully dark. You gotta go. Sorry, bye.
Yeah, I know. It was just such a shame because it's such an
Yeah.
amazing thing. Imagine you could ride it
Oh, it'd be so nice.
later. I know.
Well, we've gotten through all of the London-based questions, but we're going to finish with a speed round of London-based questions. You've done this before. We're going to do it again. It's time for this
Or
that.
that.
As you know, this game is a lightning round. We're going to give you 2 options. You're going to answer as quick as you can with as little thought, and we're going to keep on moving, just trucking right on through, okay?
Yep.
All right, starting off, question number 1, Western Fair Market or Covent Garden Market?
Western Fair.
Grooves Records or Odyssey Records?
Oh, I hate this game. Odyssey?
Masonville Mall or White Oaks Mall? This will be easier.
White Oaks? I don't know.
Locomotive or Sidetrack?
Locomotive.
Springbank Park or Gibbons Park?
Springbank Park. I don't remember what. Oh, Gibbons. Gibbons.
Mm-hmm.
Fanshawe College or Western University?
Fanshawe? I'm alumni. I feel like I should say that.
Absolutely. What about Wortley Village or Old East Village?
Old East.
London Brewing Co-op or Anderson Craft Ales?
I don't know. Anderson, maybe?
Knights game or Majors game?
Oh, you know what? I got a soft spot for the Knights games.
Mm-hmm.
They are fun. Brown and Dixon or City Lights?
Brown and Dixon.
How about, you answered this earlier, but bike the Thames Valley Parkway or hike on an environmentally significant area?
TVP.
TVP all the way. Black Walnut or Asmara?
Asmara.
Powerhouse or Stormstade?
Gosh, you can tell I'm not a beer drinker anymore, huh? Stormstade.
Good choice. Good choice. Richmond Row or Dundas Place?
Dundas Place.
What about Harris Park or Victoria Park?
Victoria Park, maybe. Yeah.
And finally, Highland Cinema or Mustang Drive-In?
Oh, geez, Highland. Yeah.
Nice. You
Love
did
it.
I
it.
feel like I could do every single one of those. Like they're all good.
They're all good. That's the tough part
That's
about
what
this
makes it hard.
game. That's what makes this
Yeah.
game so difficult. So then there's no wrong answer here. They're all right answers.
That's right.
The best
Support them
part is
all.
when people are like, obviously this one, and then you go to the next episode and people are like, obviously this one, and it's
Right.
the complete opposite.
Yeah.
Well, Sav, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. And thank you so much for helping to promote such a great festival. We are happy to help promote it. For everybody that has not been listening already, the festival is running from February 17th to 19th. Tickets are available still. It features Metz, Cadence Weapon, Ombigazi, as well as a ton of other incredible artists, local and abroad, just around the country as well, I mean to say. But we've got an incredible days of dinner and a show, Sunday with Punk Rock Flea Market, tons going on. Just make sure to get your tickets and get involved. This is really cool. The festival's back. And thank you, Sav, for taking the time with us today. We really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. It's nice to see you two again. And yeah, thanks for the love. And hopefully we'll see you guys out there.
Of course.
Hey, I'm Savannah Sewell, and you're listening to London's Pretty Cool Podcast.